is my pleasure to bring to the stage someone who I believe will be the next President of the United States of America, the Honorable Mike Bloomberg.
Thank you. Hello, Houston. Mayor Turner, I'm honored to have your endorsement and support. I'm particularly pleased that with that introduction, you read it the way I wrote it. I also want to thank Adrian Garcia for being here and for his kind words and support as well. And thank you all for this warm welcome, although I did have to put a sweater on today. You think this is cold? Wait till you get to New York. It is really cold there. Let me wish everyone here an early Happy Texas Independence Day. We do not celebrate that in New York. Surprise, surprise. That's on Monday, and the next day is Super Tuesday. It's our chance to nominate a candidate who will liberate us from the insanity of Donald Trump. I thought you'd like that. This is my fourth visit to Houston since Christmas, so it's getting like this is my home away from home. And I considered waiting a couple more weeks to return, but the combination of rodeo and Lizzo was just pretty tempting. But I couldn't wait that long for another box of Shipley's. Now, before I talk about this campaign, first I want to say a little bit about the crisis that's facing our country and the world. Maybe you watched the president's press conference yesterday. The fact is, President Trump was briefed on the coronavirus 2 months ago, but he buried his head in the sand, and his failure to prepare is crippling our ability to respond now that it's at our doorstep. These are not things you can jump into. You have to plan, and you have to have a staff ready to go. And the president slashed funding for the Centers of Disease Control and other essential health agencies. He fired the entire White House team in charge of response to pandemics a couple of years ago. And he predicted this time that this whole thing's going to be over in 2 months. But the president is not a scientist, and that's a nice way to put it. He doesn't even believe in science. And he's not leading, he's reacting, and much, much too late. And his incompetence really does put us at risk. Now, in times like this, we need proven leadership in the White House. We need somebody who has led during a crisis, who believes in science, and invests in prevention and preparation, and who listens to experts. We need somebody who understands, yes, you should applaud for that, because that really is true. We need somebody who understands that the U.S. is responsible both for keeping Americans safe from a pandemic and helping to lead the global response to combat it and contain it. We need a president who will make protecting the health of the American people their #1 priority at all times. And I can promise you that is the kind of president I would be. Now, over the past 2 months, I've been across the great state of Texas. I took our campaign bus, the, as we call it, Let's Get It Done Express, from San Antonio to Austin to Waco to Dallas. And along the way, I picked up one of the most celebrated justices in American history. I'm talking about the one and only Judge Judy. I'm honored to have her support, and I can just tell you, if Republicans in the Senate were half as tough as she is, they would have convicted President Trump on the impeachment charges. But since they didn't vote to remove him from office, we are going to do it in November. I can also tell you that Judge Judy and I ate more brisket than I ever have in my life. Across all of Texas, we have built a campaign team led by Houston's own Ashley Turner. And we've got almost 20 field offices and 180 staff on the ground across Texas. And everyone is hard at work. Early voting is in full swing, and we now have only 5 days until Super Tuesday. So when we need Clutch City to come through. We need to wrap up here this morning, and I hope all of you will help build our Texas team and get out the vote. And I hope you'll tell your friends and your families and neighbors how important their votes are. And if they ask about my campaign and what it's all about, just tell them, I'm running a campaign for change, for sanity, for honesty, for inclusion, compassion, and a campaign for human decency. And we don't have that in the White House right now. I am running to restore honor to our government and to build a country that we are proud of, and to start getting things done, and to start putting the United back into the United States of America. And all that starts with beating Donald Trump. Now, back in 2016, if you remember, 2016 is not that long ago, I spoke at the Democratic Convention and I warned that Donald Trump was not fit for office. And then in 2018, I worked to hold him accountable by flipping 21 House seats, including Lizzie Fletcher's here right in Houston. And that made Nancy Pelosi Speaker and allowed us to begin holding Donald Trump accountable through the impeachment process. That's where that all came from. And this year, we know Trump's strategy: attack Democrats, make their plans look unrealistic and unaffordable and undoable. Well, that's not going to work against me, and it's not going to work against you. I have the record, and we have the resources to defeat him in swing states that Democrats lost in 2016, and to finally turn Texas blue and capture those 38 electoral votes and flip the Texas House. Now, I know we can do it. My friend Beto showed that we're getting close. But to get it done, we need to nominate someone at the top of the ticket who can build a broad coalition that rallies Democrats and attracts independents and moderate Republicans. And that's what I've done in all the 3 races that I've run in New York City, and I've won them all. So I know how to do this. I am not a typical politician. I think I showed that a week or so ago in a debate. I didn't ever work at a place where everybody talks on top of each other. I couldn't believe it. My mother would have shot me if I'd done that. I've never worked in Washington, and I don't make pie-in-the-sky promises. And I don't talk until the cows come home. And as you've seen in the debates, I'm not someone who just yells slogans even when they're not true. That's what they did. The 2 of them, this last debate, they had the same answers no matter what the question was. I don't know how you do that. I believe we need a leader. I believe we need a leader who's ready to be commander-in-chief, not the college debater-in-chief. So if you want someone who talks turkey and who has a record of accomplishments on all the big issues facing our country, and if you want somebody who has the resources to beat Trump, that's me. Now, I give virtually all my company's profits to charity, and there's no better investment I can make in the future of our country than spending to defeat Donald Trump. And if you think this campaign is expensive, just imagine what 4 more years of Donald Trump would cost us. I think it would be a catastrophe, and I'm in this race to stop it. Now, even though, this is going to surprise you, Donald and I are both from New York, we couldn't be more different. In fact, I campaigned and say, I'm the un-Trump. Just think about it. He breaks promises, I keep them. He divides people, I unite them. He's a climate denier, I'm an engineer. I actually believe in science, imagine that. He tweets, I follow facts and respect data and tell the truth. He looks out for people who inherited their wealth like him. I started with nothing but my parents teaching me hard work and ethical behavior, and I'll raise taxes on the wealthy to get the revenue we need to start fighting income inequality and paying for infrastructure and investing in emergency preparedness and extending health care and improving education and all the other things we need to strengthen our great country. My whole career, I have been a doer, and I believe we need less talk, we need less partisanship, less division, less tweeting. In fact, and I do this in every speech, I'm shameless about this, what about an agreement, no tweeting from the Oval Office ever again? And it's easy for me to say because I can't spell. But then again, neither can Donald. Now, I've been pretty blessed in life, and there is nothing that Trump can do to say or to hurt me, but he has hurt, all kidding aside, a lot of other people. And that's why I'm running, to stand up for every American who has lost their job or lost their insurance, who can't pay their college tuition. You've all heard the slogan, Mike will get it done. It's on our literature. If you haven't heard it, then we spent a lot of money for nothing. But let me tell you what the it is in get it done. It means winning this November and sending Donald Trump back to Mar-a-Lago permanently. But that's just the beginning, because getting it done finally means finally providing health insurance to every American who lacks it and lowering costs for everyone else. And we can do that without kicking 155 million people off their health insurance that they have now and imposing a massive tax increase on working people. We just can't do that. Getting it done means passing common sense gun safety laws that protect our children and communities. Getting it done means making America a global leader in the fight against climate change. Getting it done means creating good jobs and higher wages. Getting it done means addressing discrimination and inequality. Getting it done means finally fixing our broken immigration system and creating a path to citizenship for 11 million people living in the shadows. And getting it done means protecting a woman's right to choose and appointing judges who will defend that. Now, it won't be easy, but I know that we can do it, because unlike other candidates, I don't just talk about doing things. I have a record of reaching across the aisle and getting them done. And I just wanted to give you a couple examples of how you can reach across the aisle and actually make our government work. Other candidates talk about raising teacher salaries. As mayor, I raised teachers' salaries in New York City by 43%. Yeah, if you're a teacher, you'd be happy. And the bottom line is the results came through. Everybody talks about raising public schools, making them better. In our case, graduation rates went up 40% during the 12 years I was in office. In New York City, we cut the number of uninsured by 40%, improving care for babies and for mothers, and raising life expectancy in New York City by 3 whole years. So if you want to live longer, I'm not saying you should do this. I don't want to say anything derogatory about Texas, but if you want to live 3 years longer, vote for me. Now, others talk about climate change and fighting it. In New York City, we cut our carbon footprint by 13%, and my foundation has helped work with the Sierra Club and replaced 300 dirty, polluting coal-fired power plants with cleaner energy so far, and we're on the ways to get rid of all 530 coal-fired power plants, which we'll get in the next 5 years. Green jobs and a greener planet, we really can get them done together, and we know how to do it. We've been doing this. We're not just talking about it. We really have closed 304, I think it is, coal-fired power plants up to this time, and we're starting to work on coal-fired power plants in Europe as well, because their pollutants are the same stuff that we breathe. It doesn't make any difference where it is. Others talk about stopping gun violence. I can just tell you, in New York City, I helped create a gun safety group with 6 million members that is working to pass common sense gun laws in states around the country. Moms Demand Action, I'm sure you've seen them. That's all part of that. And we've gotten 20, Moms, wait, yes, I can see the shirts, way to go. Another one right here, thank you. You deserve an enormous amount of credit. I just take pictures with you. But all kidding aside, I do know how to bring people together to solve problems. That's the way I run my company, and that's how I ran New York City. And if you go back and think about it, I was elected just 7 weeks after the devastating terrorist attacks of 9/11. Our city was in tatters, our economy was in recession, there was still smoke coming out of the voids where the two towers were. But I brought people together, and people from around this country, including from Texas, came and helped us. People from around the world actually came as well. And we created nearly 500,000 jobs and 175,000 units of affordable housing after that. We reduced street homelessness by 28%. We launched new programs to fight poverty, and we rebuilt our city stronger than ever. And what I've learned there is how to put teams together and deal with crises like the virus, like Hurricane Sandy that we had in the East Coast. Like a lot of these things, you have to prepare and have people in place and delegate to them and let them do it. And that's what I do well. I spell team T-E-A-M and say there's no I in team. Donald Trump has only the letter I in team, and that's why it doesn't work. In the past 2 decades, we've taken on the toughest fights and won. And I've taken on Donald Trump and won many times. On gun safety, we beat him. We were against he was in favor of the NRA. We were against it. Coal pollution, we closed all these coal-fired power plants, and he said the mines would never close. We flipped the House blue in the 2018 election. 21 Congress people were elected that were good on guns, good on the climate. They put Pelosi in charge, and that's where the impeachment process started. So I know how to play against Donald Trump. I know how to beat him, and I'm ready to do it again. But I will say I cannot do it alone. I need your help and your support and your vote, and I need you to talk to your friends and talk to your families and knock on doors and make phone calls and tell everybody you can about what our campaign is all about and how important this is. And when you talk to them, thank you, when you talk to them, just tell them, if you want health insurance for everyone and not just empty promises, if you want to combat inequality and with fairer taxes and better jobs, if you want to support my commitment to quality education, no matter what zip code you live in, if you share in my belief for opportunity for all and not just for a few, if you are ready to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, if you are ready to clean out the Oval Office and get things done, then welcome to Bloomberg 2020. Thank you all for coming.
Hey there, everyone. Will Dupree here in the KXAN live studio. You just heard former Mayor Mike Bloomberg campaigning in Houston in front of a room of supporters there. This is ahead, of course, the Tuesday primary, Super Tuesday across the country. For 14 states are holding primaries that day, including Texas right here. So he's trying to vie for some votes here in Texas.